and a good evening to you. And now for the weather forecast as we approach the dreaded 15th of July, St. Swithin's Day. If it rains on this day, it'll rain for 40 days and 40 nights. If it's sunny on this day, it'll be sunny for, well, we'll take whatever she gives us. We expect unpredictable weather for the next few days, as Pat Lynch parked his slurry tank outside Granny's front window, and Granny is the only one who can predict the weather from looking out. But the pain in her hip is at her at the moment, and that would suggest light rain and drizzle. Also, reports are coming in that the swallows are flying low and the frogs have gone very dark in themselves. This would mean intermittent rain and the threat of a fresh shower of visitors coming from all directions, as they've done better to be at home until the rain clears up. Expect some heavy thunder later, as Mammy has spent her evening peeling turnips and Daddy will be letting rip coming to bedtime. In the east you have Dublin, and as long as they can make it out to the airport to get away, they don't seem too worried about what the weather's like for anyone else. Now, let's move on to some other counties and let's see how they're fixed with the weather.
Northwest Donegal, the only way we had to forecast the weather and bad weather or good weather was in the 40s and the 50s. Right, the old people would let you know that if the cattle moved up to the top of the hill, it was a sign of good weather. They could go and make the hay and go to the bog to cut the turf. And then if they noticed the cattle was moving down to the bottom of the field, that was a sign that the weather was going to get bad rain and storm coming. Now, Eagle shows, they'll point to the hill where the cattle are there. They're at the bottom of the field now. That is a real sign the weather is not going to get good for the next day or so.
So if the sheep or the cattle move up the hill, it's a sign of good weather.
If the land looks closer than usual, it's a sign of bad weather. And if there's a ring around the moon, there's going to be a storm coming.
And if the oak tree blossoms before the ash tree, it means there's going to be good weather. And then if the ash tree blossoms before the oak tree, it means there's going to be bad weather. Red sky at night, shepherd's delight. Red sky in the morning, shepherd's warning.
When the summer birds fly away, off goes the summer with them.
Well, St. Swithin's Day is the 15th day of July. And there's a legend. That means it's a story that there's no real basis for it. It's just a legend, it's a rumour. That if it rains on St. Swithin's Day, you will have rain for the next 40 days. And that if St. Swithin's Day is good, you'll have 40 good days after it.
If you see a white butterfly, it's a good sign of weather. If you can see the stones on top of Swithin, it's a bad sign of weather. When you see a rainbow, it's a week's broken weather. A horse with his backside to the fence is a sign of a storm. If the month of February is good, it curses the rest of the year. A wet and windy May fills the haggard with corn and hay. A frog turns dark brown is a sign of rain. When all the berries are gone from the hedges early, it's a sign of a hard winter. When the wind blows from the east, it's not good for man or beast.
And then another sign was if the birds were gathered on the electric pole wires and there was a flock of them, that was another sure sign that it was going to have rain the next day. And then the swallows as well. Swallows were flying low. That was another sign we were going to get rain.
Signs of bad weather then is with birds. Birds was, if there was a crane, if you've seen her down in the shore, it was a good sign of the weather. But if you've seen her flying out towards the north side of the island, it was a bad sign of weather. And for wind then, when you'll be fishing, there's a colloch. If you've seen her flying low at the water, it was a sign of calm weather. But if you've seen her flying high in the sky, it was a sign of wind. And if you've seen her flying in over the land, it was a sign of bad weather coming. And another one, this would be bad, if the weather was good and it was sudden bad, oftentimes when you'll be out, you'd see froth on top of the water, big lumps of froth, and you'd see the wind bringing it away up and floating in over the land. That wasn't a good sign of the weather either. Or if you had arthritis, you could get pains in your bones if the weather was changing. And you'd have another one here, if the wheel of wagtail was close to the door, it wasn't a good sign of the weather either. But if you seen her down in the shower, it was a good sign of the weather. And if the horses were on the hill, one time all the horses would be led to the hill in springtime, and they'd be roaming around the mountain. But if they rose away up the hill, up high into the mountain, it was a good sign. But if they went over, there's a boundary wall here, and if you've seen them crossing over a small hill here, it was a sure sign of bad weather in the winter time.
Now another one, it was the sea, which we're looking at the moment in Sheephaven Bay, which is well known in here in Donegal and all over Ireland. If there's a swell, if the sea was calm, but you notice of a bit of a swell, that without any storm coming, that means there's a storm away out in the Atlantic heading in towards the Sheephaven Bay.
Well, the only thing I've ever heard is that they leave out a statue of the infant bride. You'll often hear about if a woman is getting married, that the bride's mother will leave out the statue on that morning so that it'll not rain. That's what I've ever heard. I don't know does it work, but every bride's mother will tell you it anyway.
That's very good. I don't have any more questions, but do you have anything else you want to say?
Well, it's just that there are many, it's St. Swithin's Day, there are many stories about the weather and how to predict it. It's not only prediction. When I was a child, there was many things, that a red sky at night was a farmer's delight. That means if the sun goes down and it's red, the sky is red at night, it's generally supposed to be good weather is coming. Whereas if it's a red sky in the morning, it's a warning to the farmers. A red sky in the morning was a farmer's warning. It meant there wasn't good weather coming, that it probably would rain before the end of the day if the sky was red in the morning.
That's very handy. Well, thank you for coming.
Well, you're most welcome. I only charge €50.
Well, behind us out here, when we look out the window, we can see Cornhill, which is the highest spot in the Midlands. And when Cornhill has cloud over it, that means that it's going to rain. Or as an old man said to me, when Cornhill has its cap on, it's going to rain. And another thing an old man said to me one time was, when you can see the backs of the leaves of the trees with the wind blowing, that means there's rain coming. Now, Holly, have you heard anything from anybody that what used to be said years ago?
Yeah, so my Uncle James in Donegal says that if there's rings around the moon, that bad weather is on the way, and cattle sheltering along a hedge, look out for bad weather also. And good weather is hard to break. And a joke, an old man told him that east wind is cold no matter what direction it's coming from.
And the water jug was another animal that should give you a great sign of the weather. If you've seen him up on the land, it was a sure sign of murder coming, and you'd have a full month of bad weather if you've seen a water jug up on the land walking around. And then they'd have signs of the rainbow in certain spots. You'd see it in different places, and that was a sign of weather. There was a place out west Runa there, Imlock Point, and if you saw a small bush of a rainbow on that point, it was mixed weather on the way. And oftentimes now, if you were at hay, you'd see there'd be good weather, and if you've seen a weather girl, that'd be like two little rainbows each side of the sun. Each side of the sun in the evening or in the morning. That was a change of weather too, it was. And that would be, there's probably more of them, but that's all I can remember at this time.
Out the mountain, when you can see the mountains or something that...
to be the same. If you stand here and look over at the blue hills and the mountains, it's a good sign of the weather. See it there? Over that mountain up to the shop. The same as it just painted blue. If the rain was on the way, it would be turned black.
One grandma told me that when the swallows are flying high, that means it's good weather. But And he told me that when the swallows are flying low, that means it's bad weather. And it means that bad weather is coming as well.
Oh, we're back. I was looking at the swallows. They're flying high, lads. They're flying high. And finally, there's a warning of blight in the coming days. But who cares? We've had spuds for long enough. Time to ring the Chinese. And of course, as St. Swithin's Day approaches, we would like to send our good wishes to the child of Prague, who has been sitting out for several nights with no coat. But as we say here in the Met Office, it'd take more than climate change to get a turn out of that fella. Good night, and remember, always wear the sunscreen, even if it's only a drizzle.